Hey survivors, by the end of this video today, I want you to feel better about fighting in Project Zomboid. If you know how to get critical hits in this game, you are going to have a huge advantage in combat, so in this video, we're going to look at every single piece of game code that'll help you with criticals. There are 2 points where I'd like your experience and opinions to help me confirm some things, but for now, drop a like if you're into it, and let's get going here. Let's start with this. There are 2 reasons why you should try to get crits. The first is obvious, we're talking about damage. Every weapon has a damage multiplier on a critical hit. Even if you look at the game files and you find a weapon with no crit multiplier, the game code will always override this to apply at least a 2 times damage modifier. Second, a critical hit will always knock down your zombies, so even if they're not dead, they're out of the fight for a minute. Now, let's get into how this works. We got some big topics and you can skip to whatever you want, but we're going to talk about all different attack types first, and then we'll explain the special critical situations that you can get with knives and spears and a couple other exceptions. Basically, for all attacks, the game starts by calculating your base crit chance. We have 3 attack categories to look at here, and for this first step, they all have different rules. First, shoving. Shoves have a basic critical chance of 35% for all players. Then you add 2% to that for each level in strength. So a starting character, 5 strength, that's a bonus of 10% to shove crits. So for most of your characters, you're starting with a 45% base chance for critting on a shove, which is going to knock down your zombie. However, if you're using a weapon, the game instead looks at the default crit chance for that weapon. So for the MSR 788, that's a 30% chance. For the hammer, it's base 20% chance. You get it. But here's where things now start to get different. If you are using a gun, look at your gun's aiming perk crit modifier. On the MSR 788, that is 15%. For every 1 level that you have in aiming, you get to add half that modifier. So if you have 4 aiming and you're using this rifle, that is a 30% crit chance bonus. Very nice. Then look at your aiming time. Higher aim time means fewer crit penalties. On this rifle, aim time is 40, and then your aiming time gets better with higher aim at 2 points per level. So if you have 5 aim, you have 10 more aiming time. But this time is not really measured in seconds. Instead, it gets compared to a sort of abstract movement over time score. So when you move, the move time goes up really fast, and when you're still, it goes down really fast. If your total move time is below your total aiming time, that's good, don't worry about it. But if your move time has gone above your aiming time, you are now losing crit chance. It takes away your total move time value, it subtracts your aiming time, and whatever's left is what it takes away from your crit chance. So if your current move time score has 100 points and your aim time is 50 points, then you are getting a minus 50 crit chance. This means you should stop walking and let your move bank cool off before you fire, if you want a good critical. And then here's another weird one just for guns. You get a good bonus if your target is close to you. If they are 4 tiles away or closer, you get a 28-point bonus on crit chance. So if they are 2 tiles away, you get a 14-point bonus, and if they are exactly 4 tiles away, then you actually get 0 bonus. So closer is better here. But bad news, and I really want to know what you think of this. If they are more than 4 tiles away from you, then you lose 7 points for every tile after this. So if they are 8 tiles away from you, you lose a total of 28 crit chance points. This means that combat at long range will rarely result in a critical hit. I personally think that rifles and scopes should be an exception here, but my testing shows that all guns are the same on this right now. More distance equals fewer crits. What do you think about that? Finally, with guns, you add 3 points to your crit chance for each level in aiming. So at level 5, that's a plus 15% chance. And then the game checks to see if you are in automatic firing mode. And if you are, you're going to lose 10% crit chance for every enemy who you hit before this in the past half a second. Okay, so let's talk about melee weapons now before we bring it all back together. So first, we get your default crit chance from the weapon. Then, if you're using a 2-handed weapon, but you're only using 1 hand, your crit chance loses 1/3 of what it was. It's like a 33% debuff. It's very bad, so use 2 hands. Next, you should charge up your weapon before you swing. If you did not charge your attack for at least 2 seconds, your crit chance loses 20% of its value. So if it was 50%, now it's only 40%. You'll notice here that for some reason my mod does not yet capture this charge bonus, but I did 100 rounds of manual testing and charging did give me almost 20% more criticals. So I think the charge bonus is working fine, it's just my mod that's missing it. Still, I would like some backup here, so you let me know, do you think charging your swing is giving you more crits? Then, just like with guns, add 3 points to your crit chance here for each level in your weapon skill. So say you're level 5 in short blunt, your hammer swings are getting a plus 15% chance on their base crit chance. Okay, now let's talk about noodles and game settings. Moodles and game settings. This part is for melee weapons as well as ranged weapons. Now, these numbers I'm about to tell you are deducted off of your crit chance. They are not multipliers. For example, start with endurance. For every level in your endurance Moodle, you lose 5 points off of your crit chance. Same with heavy load, 5% is taken off for each level. And Panic is next. Here you lose 1.3 points per Panic Moodle. And now let's talk Sandbox settings. If you're playing with tough zombies, you lose another 6 points off of your crit chance. But if they are fragile little Zeds instead, you actually gain 6 bonus points to your crit chance. Finally, this next piece is very important. As the last step in calculating your base crit chance, the game will take your raw value and clamp it to something between 10 and 90%. That means if you have a 0% crit chance at this point, congratulations, it just got boosted to 10%. But also, if you had maybe somehow 130%, it's now been reset to 90%. Okay, next up we'll talk about how to increase your base crit chance with some special modifiers that create your final crit chance. And this is all after you get capped at 90%, so you can still get a 100% crit chance at this point. First, I want to share with you though, if you enjoy getting all these juicy Zomboid secrets here or in my other deep dive videos, and if you want some more, I've got 2 announcements for you today. Number 1, we've got a Trombo Space Discord server happening now. I literally launched it just today, so come on down and say hi. You are all invited. If you've got Zomboid questions, memes to share, characters to mourn, or just whatever, I want to see you there. Second, if you would ever consider gifting me a cup of coffee or something like that for these videos, I've also just launched a page on Patreon. Patreon is where you can support my Zomboid content, as well as my upcoming horror puzzler game, codenamed Project Kevin right now. Links for Patreon and for the Discord are waiting for you down in the description, so check them out later if you're curious. Okay, so the first way to supercharge your crit chance is to get behind a zombie. If that zombie is not aware of you or any other player, you will get a whopping 30 points added to your crit chance. Otherwise, just being behind them is still enough to get 5 bonus points. Next up now is the Mighty Spear bonus. If you have a spear and you hit a zombie who is more than 1.25 tiles away from you, and if that zombie is more than 1.7 tiles away from any other zombie, you get a plus 30 crit chance. And yes, this does stack with being behind a zombie. And again, all this is after the 90% crit maximum is checked, so you can get past 100% pretty easily here. Well, let's also talk about knives now. After the game rolls the dice to see if you get a critical hit, it might actually cancel that critical. The rule here is if there is more than one zombie chasing you and you are using a knife, any crits you get will be cancelled right at this point. The upside here is when you do successfully crit with the knife, you'll actually get a 1000 times multiplier on your damage, which should kill Zeds every single time. Then, as a little added bonus now, let's talk about 2 special weapons that will always crit. The Sledgehammer and the Barbell both have the always knockdown property, and part of this property means they always crit. Even with a bunch of the debuffs that we talked about earlier, these weapons will always score their 100% critical hit chance. Finally, after all of these calculations, there is still one extra little bonus. If you did manage to score a successful critical hit, you will get a 10% bonus on your combat speed. So if you swing extra fast and a Zed's head explodes, you can bet that that was a critical hit. Or you can download my new combat data mod from Steam to reveal all of the numbers you just saw in this video. Now, there is so much going on with Zomboid combat, it's absolutely crazy. So I've got those links in the description for you to check out, but if you want to know more about Zomboid combat right now, you can check out this exhaustion video to learn how to fight longer, learn about the close combat melee damage penalty in this one, get some extra experience points with the video here, or just check out the suggested video if that looks good to you. Thanks for watching, and stay safe out there in the end times.